So transit and economic development and congestion, to me, all go together, because if you have a node for transit, you should have the density there, and you should have the economic development there, and transit promotes that.
Under GRTC's leadership, construction's underway on the GRTC Pulse, which is a high-quality, high-capacity rapid transit system that'll extend 7.6 miles. This corridor is the heartbeat of the Richmond region, with the highest existing and projected population and employment densities and the most transit-supportive land use. Within a half mile of the Pulse, there are 33,000 people and 77,000 jobs, with potentially more as the service gains traction.
Lynchburg is a recipient of a Smart Scale project, which is inclusive of our downtown Central Business District circulator. This new service is designed in accordance with the downtown revitalization of Lynchburg. Recently, Lynchburg has reinvested in that area and seen significant growth. So our project is going to provide the downtown residents, workers, and visitors the ability to move throughout the downtown region quickly and efficiently and safely without having to navigate the significant hills that Lynchburg has, as well as the parking and congestion issues that go along with a revitalized downtown.
The Tide Light Rail has been a starter line in the city of Norfolk. What is extraordinary is the fact that over $500 million of economic development has occurred along the alignment. In addition to that, there has been a 72% increase in housing units in downtown. There's also been a significant growth of those between the ages of 25 and 34 who have moved back downtown. So we are attracting young people, there's a vibe downtown, and the Tide is part of it.
Employers obviously want to attract the best employees, really qualified people who probably have a lot of different options associated for them because of their background, because of their education. For the employers who we can help serve, the way our trains are located, where our trains are located, it helps attract those employees and retain those employees. We have a service that's not slowed down by traffic congestion. As a result, in the last couple of years, we've averaged a 95% on-time performance, which means for every trip we take, it's scheduled to arrive at this point, and we arrive within 5 minutes 95% of the time.
I don't want to oversimplify things, but I think once we hit the fiscal cliff, as we're calling it, agencies will have just a couple of opportunities. One, to cut back on service, cut back on maintenance, cut back on expansion, or some combination of all of those things. Secondly, to raise fares for the users of the system, and that's always difficult. Or thirdly, go to their local government and ask for them for a substantial subsidy. And in these days and times, that will be difficult. To state a good repair for a road, there are a number of engineering tests you can run on the road. What's its structural capability? You can do the same thing with bridges. So it's pretty much a confined area. Whereas you go to the transit system, and immediately you think of either rails or rubber tires, but there's much, much more than that. There's the facilities to maintain them, there's the purchase of the rail cars, there's the purchase of the buses, there's the route studies. So there's just a multitude of different factors that a transit system has to look at than a highway system. So if you don't maintain the system, you lose ridership, you begin to get into safety issues, and just the reliability of the issue becomes suspect. I would certainly not predict what's going to happen, but I think that the local governments, the transit agencies themselves, are not going to be able to raise without substantial new revenue sources, not going to be able to raise the funds that are necessary to do the very things that the board is asking them to do, and that is state of good repair.
Stripping transit of funding would have a huge impact on our region's growing appeal, particularly to the rising millennial workforce. 60% of Richmond businesses across the region have employees that rely on transit to get to and from work. Millennials in particular are attracted to mixed-use transit-oriented places, and employers are noticing that they need to consider accessibility to transit as a major appeal for their companies. If we can't provide this type of connectivity here in Richmond, we're going to lose all this talent and a lot of our regional appeal. Our region is expected to grow from 1.3 million to 1.5 million in the next 15 years. So we need to do all we can to make sure Richmond remains competitive with other major cities by attracting and retaining the best talent we can. We shouldn't be a stopping point for workers on their way to another better destination. We need to be the destination.
If GLTC were to experience a reduction in funding or even an elimination of any type of funding streams that we currently rely on, we would be crippled significantly. We would deal with an inability to keep up with the growth of the city. We would also deal with an inability to meet the current demands. We are already a stretched system in the sense that our operating assistance is all used to maintain everything that we do. With the growth of the city and the growth of the region, it's a struggle to keep up. So it's very important to us that we make sure that we continue to receive not only the appropriations that we receive currently, but work to try to improve those and increase them. Because in the end, if we can't do that, we can't continue to grow Lynchburg.
Just a year ago, when we had a devastating storm which closed public transportation for 3 days, I got just a glimpse of what impact it would have on the region if we didn't operate. We heard from major employers throughout Hampton Roads that wanted to know when we were going to restart those valuable bus, ferry, and light rail services to our region. If we were to lose our funding in any way, it would have a significant impact on the regional gross domestic product. That will certainly impact this region and the resources of the Commonwealth. We have to remain committed to funding public transportation even in difficult economic times. We are a backbone of the economy.
VRE is a very successful service, and Virginia should be very proud of the commuter rail service that they have and all the good work that we do in these corridors of statewide significance. But based on the planning and the analysis we've done, long-term we're at risk, and it may be shorter term than we'd like to think. What we've identified is that the funding sources we have are not going to be sustainable with those. We need to have more money. And so we've begun to have that discussion, but that additional money is needed to continue to pay the access fees, continue to pay for the equipment and the maintenance of the equipment, and provide more service. Without that, the sustainability of VRE is really at risk.
As the Commonwealth continues to grow and develop, attract new businesses, attract new residences, transit will become even more and more important. The consequences of a dramatic decrease in transit funding, which is what we're facing, is we lose a lot of that attractiveness that attracts new businesses, which brings jobs, residences to the community.